Today we're doing a video on an artist that I haven't looked at in quite some time, but is seriously one of my favorite artists of all time. And I love looking at the humble beginnings of an artist. And Tim Vigil is just a dynamite artist. And even in his most humble beginnings, he still was an unbelievable comic book artist. Now, this is the earliest work that I know of that he did. I'm not sure if this was before Grips or after Grips, but it's been a while since we've gone through Tim Vigil, so let's take a look at Omen, one of his earliest works. And I'm going to be honest, I don't read Tim Vigil's comics. I just look at his comics. I don't even know who the writer is. But anyways, this seems like a generic kind of story, but you cannot argue that the artwork is not insane. And his anatomy understanding is pretty much there at this point. And it's beautiful. I believe he's inking his own work here as well, doing some great anatomical work. You can definitely tell he is a fan of Burn Hogarth and Bridgman, really understanding exactly how the body works. Man, what a beautiful artist. Definitely a huge fan of probably Barry Windsor Smith and Bernie Wrightson. I know he's a Bernie Wrightson fan, but I imagine he's a Barry Windsor Smith fan as well. But yeah, man, he's doing some great stuff here. I actually think I might like this better than his Faust stuff, as crazy as that sounds. Awesome composition, really working with the panel, really working with the medium that he's working in. Even doing some Kirby crackle there, it looks like. I love the expression there. Man, what a great artist. The amount of detail, he's got that detail going on right there. He really enjoys comic books that have a lot of detail, clearly, and is inspired by that. So he probably felt the need to put in as much detail as he possibly could. I know that it takes him quite a long time to finish his books, but man, totally worth the amount of time he's putting into it. Even beautiful stuff he's doing on the texture on the metal there. I mean, look at all that. Just insane. Beautiful. Definitely somebody who's made for comics and somebody who really loves comic books. And that's the perfect kind of mixture, is you're not sort of getting one of those artists who's just doing comic books to kind of pay the bills. Tim Vigil's doing the artwork because he truly loves it. So here the inks are being done by somebody named Paul Martin, and David Quinn is doing the story. So this is the guy that he ended up doing Faust with. Is there a year on this? It's probably right in front of my face, but I don't see it. I'm not sure the year on this. I believe this is before Faust. Like, I'm pretty confident this is some of his earliest work. But man, beautiful close-ups here. Just doing some great. I love the way he's rendering that hand there, if you can see it. I don't know if that's him or the inker that's doing that. I don't know how tightly he's drawing in his pencils and the inker is just going over it. Even using things like Zipatone there. Man. Again, we got the Kirby crackle there. Got some interesting anatomy there, I guess, with the head. Kind of seems like it's not connected to the body there. Man, that's a great panel there. Beautiful, beautiful panel there. I just love the ink work as well on there. Great rendering, like I said earlier. Man, it's just and the solid form. Drawing that barrel of the chest beautifully. The anatomy of the bicep there going into the forearm. or connecting to the forearm. Just really understands what he's doing here. Now, I went through Tim Vigil's art book at one point, and you kind of got to see some of his earliest work before he made comics. And I feel like he's just one of those guys who was absolutely made to make comics. You have to kind of be jealous of people who are just that gifted at, or they just find the thing that they love and it just works perfectly. And I mean, I'm not denying that he didn't work unbelievably hard to get to the point where he is, but, or the point where he was at this current point. But I mean, look at that hand. Look at that hand there and that finger coming foreshortened towards the reader. Man, just an amazing artist. Brilliant. This is why I love Tim Vigil. If I don't look at his work for quite some time, he kind of sneaks his way out of my top 10 favorite artists. But then when I look at his work, he just gets himself right back in there. Right back into that top 10. Great. I mean, just really interesting panel choices here. And doing some really cool stuff. With composition. It doesn't feel like it doesn't have like an indie feel to it, even though it is technically an indie comic. It feels professional. And that probably was a breath of fresh air for people who were reading indie comics or underground comics. And kind of most of it was crap. But this stuff is brilliant. Man, beautiful. And the amount of people he's putting in that panel there. It's even like simple compositions like that. Like there's nothing really crazy going on in that panel there, but it's right there. He's telling the story, and he's doing such a beautiful job doing it. We have some pinups in the back. Man, look at that. That's like Faust, for sure. So I don't know if these are reprints, because it does have an ad for Faust in the back. But, yeah. I waited so long to make this video because I had not gotten my hands on issue 2. So I'm thankful I got it. I had issue 1 and 3. But I didn't have issue 2 for the longest time. And then I eventually picked it up for actually relatively cheap. And I was so thankful. So we have more of a lot of the same stuff here. Yeah, look at that panel there. That character. Also, the other thing about Tim Vigil that I think is sort of super underrated when it comes to him is that he has some really interesting character concepts. And he just makes such cool characters. None of them kind of like stand out as being super popular, you know, but I just love what he does, like how he creates characters and where he gets these ideas for some of the like costumes, and yeah, it's just really cool. Anyways, art by Tim Vigil, and some Tim Tyler here, doing page 6 through 22, and then Jim Sinclair doing, I'm assuming 1 through 5. Tim Tyler, another great artist I've looked at, does some really, really great inking over Tim Vigil. Man, just, I mean, look at that. Beautiful rendering there. The one thing I will say about when I look at Faust is I think one of the things that lacks in Faust is the, especially the early issues, is kind of the perspective work and the backgrounds. He kind of does very simple square buildings. And I was like, oh man, he must have been having real trouble with doing perspective. But I know that this is earlier than Faust, and he was doing some great work on perspective here and drawing some really interesting buildings in the background. Man, like that with the mouth open, and you can see the spit coming down. Just really crazy, interesting stuff. You know, he so badly wanted to make her naked, because that's Tim Vigil. He loves drawing naked women and men, surprisingly. But he kind of had to hold back on this. but that gore is still there. So I don't know if the intention was to try to make comics for kids at this point, or to kind of walk that line of kind of in the middle, adult and kid. But when he goes on to do Faust later on, that is definitely an adult comic for sure. Yeah, I absolutely adore this comic. Like, I think it's actually really an awesome comic. So that's Omen. Just wanted to go through that. Anytime I can look through Tim Vigil's work, I do. But I kind of put him away for a little while, because I feel like if I focus too much on Tim Vigil, A, there's not a lot of his work out there, and B, if I sort of focus on his work too much, I don't know if it's that I get bored of it, but it's just like it doesn't have the same impact if I kind of just put it away for a little while and then kind of look at it again. But that's Omen. It's a beautiful comic. Sorry that I don't know the history on this, but I'm pretty sure that it came out before Faust. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.